back then in 2009. We were developing the apps for the third party for clients like government sector and private sector, mainly the government of Dubai, since they started shifting to the smart government. Now, one thing that, because I do my own research and I keep on looking for solutions that can be localized to our region and our market and our country, for example. So one thing that I thought could be very useful is what's so-called the assistive technology. The thing that helps the disabilities to achieve their goals and to communicate and to live as similar as ours. One thing that caught my attention is a communication tool called PEX, Picture Exchange Communication System, which had been invented in the 80s. But back then it was on paper, and then since the mobile apps, they started shifting the whole mechanism of the communication solution on tablets. So what we did actually is we did some sort of reverse engineering for what they've done internationally in different languages, except for Arabic, and we just brought the Arabic language and the localization in terms of characters and the cultural aspect of communication to the region. So you were right, actually. If we had tackled the subject from the same business model that they sell it internationally, we wouldn't have sold one license because it's pretty expensive. We sell the license for $300. The thing that was very helpful is to disrupt the business model itself. So instead of selling to the individuals or to the end user, which is like the families or the centers of autism, because we lack the trust in our own products and services in the region, we thought of going to whoever has any CSR initiative or those guys, like I'll name the sponsor of ours, which was Do. We went to Do and we presented the concept, and they sponsored our solution for the entire market exclusively. So it was a very positive action and business model that helped us sell to almost 70% of the centers in the UAE, giving them the tool for their children and the students that are autistic for free, just because we found the proper model of sponsoring such a thing. The other example that we've also succeeded in developing in the region is the e-book business, the e-book industry. And we also took it to the next level because we've worked on the white labeling thing. We've worked with Ministry of Education. We've worked with other initiatives that are interested in spreading culture to the public, like Etisalat. And they sponsored an e-book platform that was white labeled under their name. And now we're ending up with a big partnership with the second largest audiobook company in the world called Storytel, the Swedish company that had decided to expand in the Arab world. And they only found us active in this field. So we're carrying these two models that are completely new to our region.
Okay, Nadine, you are, as I mentioned, in a very, we have to welcome LOJAIN, who's our, come on, Jane. LOJAIN always come late anywhere, so I'll introduce you. So LOJAIN is a Syrian entrepreneur, a very proud Syrian who is originally a doctor, a dentist, and now he is into AI, and he invented this small toy that speaks to kids. And it was one of the, I think in Forbes, an invention of the year.
Yes, on the cover of Forbes.
What made you, as a dentist, go to AI?
Actually, I was working in both of them all my life. So I was working as a dentist and surgeon at the morning and programmer at the evening. Then when I moved here to Dubai, I started focusing more on programming. And I found my company is moving very fast, where I should focusing more on it than I should focus on the dentistry.
Excellent. Nadine, you were talking about, I was talking about something extremely important, users' adaptation to a new idea. The healthy food has been always perceived as boring, expensive, and only those who are into diet. So unlikely to find normal people go and order healthy food. How did you guys decide to go and disrupt it?
So I think when everyone thinks of the word diet, a lot of negative connotations come with that. And what we wanted to do is, from our years of experience in the clinical field, was to really, what we found the most and was actually sort of a gap in the market was, what do I do when I'm very busy and I can't have time to cook, or I don't want to be on a specific meal plan? You know, what's next? So we realized that there wasn't sort of a go-to app or like a one-stop shop sort of nutrition for healthy food. And what we aim to do with PLOTOS is to really also show people that healthy isn't boring. And we sort of want to move away from the word healthy, and our sort of slogan is more about being trusted and trendy, in the sense that the food you have can be from as low as 12 dirhams, but you can also find up to 80. So it is accessible, it is affordable, and it's just through a few clicks that you can actually have that as well. And what we want to do is also change people's ordering habits. So yes, it's not your typical salads and chicken and vegetables, but there's so much more on that. But it's also allowing people we're guiding them and to make really good options with what's available on the app as well.
Carrying from there, Joy, we 3 years or 5 years back, if I want to ship something, I would call RMX, DHL, and so on and so forth. So you came with a new app that involved changing behavior of people. So not only you are looking for users, but also to change the user's behavior and telling them, hey, don't call, just use the app. So how did you tackle this challenge? I know it costed you a lot, but...
changing behavior is the hardest thing to do because it's been a challenge for us. I mean, we've raised $52 million in funding, and we're about to close another 100 million. And I can tell you,
congrats.
Thank you. But with
that's
all
a lot of money, huh?
It is. But with all of that, changing behavior is the hardest. There isn't enough money in the world to change behavior. It takes time. Very similar to the way that it takes time to get people to use the internet. Like my mom, it took her forever to stop using the yellow pages when I said, Mom, you can look at it as Google. It takes time, it takes learning, it takes patience, and it takes an actual one-time person using it to understand how easy it is, and then you got them hooked. So the challenge is getting them to try it once.
Before we came, I learned something new about you, which is that you are a New Yorker originally. And we all know New Yorkers have a completely different attitude towards technology or anything. And you came to the Middle East. How easy for you as an entrepreneur was to adapt?
It's hard. I've built a company in Silicon Valley. I've raised millions of dollars, and I had an exit. My first company was bought in a merger and acquisition deal. So what's interesting about me is that I've had the experience of raising money and building a company in America, and I've had the experience of raising money and building a company here. And I can tell you that it is 1,000,000 times harder to do it here because the infrastructure is not there. The ground, the soil is not rich in investment money. It's still growing. It's, startups are still very new to this region of the world, and understanding that, when you try to raise money here, people are like, well, wait a minute, do you make money? And you're like, no, I don't make any money. And they're like, oh, okay, well, come to me when you make money. Well, that's the opposite of venture capitalists. Venture capitalists is you trust in an idea and you invest in the people. And that's really very foreign to the Arab world, who are used to investing in land and investing in businesses that are already established. So it's much harder here to raise money. It's harder to find the infrastructure.
But you managed to get Majid al-Futtaim, right? Majid al-Futtaim is one of your
we
major
did, but our first investors were from Silicon Valley, California, and then Majid al-Futtaim came. So they came after. You need both. You need Silicon Valley money, and you need money in this region. You need a combination of both.
How many of, I know we have a very, very little audiences, but you are the quality and creme de la creme of the audiences. How many of you have been involved in fundraising?
No one.
There's only one. Yeah? 2. And how many of you agree with her that we need more of, that's the question, so you either come and sit here to see, or how many of you agree with her that we need more of the Silicon Valley thinking behavior for investors here? Almost many of the...
2, 3.
Shadi, I was surprised to learn that you are a dropout from San Jose, which university in San Jose,
Yes.
which is one of the best universities in the world. And you drop out and choose to leave Silicon Valley and came back to Jordan.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask if you regret that, because I know the answer. But I want to ask you, that few years in Silicon Valley, what did impact on you when you came back to Jordan?
Actually, it was a very great experience to be in that place. Back then, it was never called the Silicon Valley. It was the Palo Alto and the Bay Area. And just a couple of years back, I came to know that it's the same place where I used to be in. And it's a pleasure to be dropped out of the Silicon Valley than to be graded A in an unknown school somewhere, maybe in the region. But yeah, I'm not a fan of education, though I've worked big time with the education institutions here and in the region, in the Gulf region specifically. What I've learned from there is that complementing what Joy was saying, is that the culture of entrepreneurship and building startups in the Silicon Valley has been there for ages. Now we are just starting this thing. It might take longer time, but I believe that it's because the entire ecosystem is not established enough to have a healthy I would say, entrepreneurship the way it goes. Because as she just said, you can easily find people believing in and investing in your vision, not what you make in terms of money, while over here, probably the first thing they look at is the security of their investment and taking zero risk when they talk to you about any funding or so, yeah.
Especially since 90% of all startups fail. That's a fact.
LOJAIN, you are, I have to congratulate you for being selected in the Dubai Future Accelerator current intake, right?
Yes.
So, and before you come, you came late to give you justice because you had a meeting with the Prime Minister office. Mm-hmm. So you are now involved with the DFA, which is an accelerator and obviously driven by the government. How that is important to accelerate your business to the next level? How much you have gained so far? And do you believe we need more than one DFA in order to accelerate the process of entrepreneurship in the region?
I think the DFA experience is very good. However, it's not enough yet. Because in my experience, when you go into dealing with big entities, you find the directors level, all of them like the new ideas. They like to add AI to their systems. However, when you go to the next level, managers or the IT or the integrators, you'll find they are fighting to not use this new technology.
Because they're afraid of losing their job?
Some of them, yes.
Do you think they will lose their job?
Yes, some of them.
Okay.
So this is my work, actually. The challenge that we are doing now is to handle 50% of the calls using the computer without any interaction with the human. So that meaning some of the people will lose their job using this system.
But no wonder they are not happy about you being involved. Nadine, I heard that it's a rumor that you are planning to integrate AI into your platform, and it will be one of the few or the only food delivery AI-driven platform in the world.
Well, that's the plan in the next couple of years, hopefully. I think with the way things are going, not so much for people to necessarily lose their jobs from a nutrition front, but I think we can use AI on a food platform to understand better the consumer sort of journey in terms of their preferences, any specific dietary sort of requirements they have, and actually guide them and help them make better choices. So at the end of the day, the user will still make an informed choice, but it's also from an AI front, understanding that data we get from them and how we can actually make their journey better from that sense. And there's so much that I think is happening right now abroad that we're hoping at least with PLOTOS we can introduce within the region.
So, I mean, it's a fascinating story. The co-founder of PLOTOS is Maria, is also staying there as well. They are doing the opposite. So we perceive AI to be causing losing jobs, right? So what are they doing? Because they have to aggregate all the meals that goes into the platform. So if Nadine and Maria would sit all day long aggregating what should be healthy and listed on the platform and what should not be, then the business will not be scalable. Because scalability in business is all about. So what they did actually, they are teaching the machine how to make the decision on behalf of them, which means they can scale up their business globally. Do you think in the logistics we're still missing the AI element?
We collect tons of data.
But are you using it? Is it helpful?
Yes, it is
How?
very helpful. Well, I mean, there are things that we do that I'm not really at liberty to speak about, but we are collecting tons of data, and there is no data in this region of the world. And even if there is data,
you don't know how to use it.
It's minimal, and what do you do with it?
So what do you do with it?
So I'm not at liberty to talk, but we have
just
huge.
In general.
We've.
To make the panel more.
He's putting me. Not at liberty to talk about it, but I can tell you that it's going to be for decision making, right? For better decision making, for implementing intelligence, and actually, I don't want to say any more because we've got the head of Facebook working on it that we hired from London. We got a lot of things in the pipeline, so I'd rather not talk about it, but absolutely.
You've hired someone from Facebook?
Yeah, London, yeah. We've hired a lot of top engineers. Not just to program, you need creative thinkers, so.
What was the pitching, the selling point to tell someone, leave Facebook, come to Fetchr? Apart from working with you,
so
I know,
engineers are famous for wanting to make a difference. If they feel like they're very interesting creatures, engineers. They're not like normal people. They're not like, their brains function very differently. They need to constantly feel like they're creating and making something and then making a difference. If not, they don't stay. Engineers are not just about programming. They're an interesting mindset. They're about, what can I learn? What can I learn? They want to learn. They're hungry for information. They're hungry to develop new things. And if you don't provide them that platform where they're used to doing the same thing over and over, they're not going to stay. And at Fetchr, we provide this platform for creativity. And
Shadi,
that's how we were able to.
You are involved a lot with engineers. Yeah? And you are better than me in dealing with engineers. Do you agree with her? Because you struggled in managing engineers.
We always have this challenge in the region.
Sorry, how many of you in the audience had to manage or deal with an engineer? Okay. How many of you found that engineer, like Joy said, a different people, positively? Oh, so that's an agreement. Shadi, please.
I also agree with Joy when she said that there's lots of creativity involved in the process of creating a solution, because engineers come to complement. It's a complementary job between the creative and the tech people. So without coming up with, let's say, an ultimate user experience, which comes from a research, then a creative people who are just sitting, thinking how they can make it seamless and can make it probably user-friendly to a level that you don't feel you're dealing with a technology device. That's the big challenge. Now, the engineers come to complement the whole thing, to make it possible, to make it actual, for real. So to me, it's similar to the challenge of finding all types of brains that we work with. which we normally lack in the region because they just simply run away and they look for Fetchr or maybe companies that are in the Silicon Valley that can accommodate their creativity and craziness.
LOJAIN, you are into hardware and software and kids, AI, dentists. How this idea came and how did you manage to bring it from an idea to reality in, I think, a year or so?
In the system itself, we are working on that for 8 years now. The
8
system,
years?
Yes.
So you've been building a system for 8 years?
Building the core technology. And then every year we have a new product using the same technology. So we launched the toy, now we are launching the new, working on the new hardware. We have something for the government, the robot last year. So every year we have new products, but all of them are using the same technology that we work on them for 8 years.
Can you tell us one of your government projects?
Sorry?
One of your government projects? I think you did with DIWA, if I'm not...
No, Mohammed Rashid Housing Establishment.
Yeah.
We have assistant for them, intelligent assistant, the first intelligent assistant that can understand Emirati and reply with Emirati accent. And also we have made a robot for them last year that is using, they are using it instead of customer service. So you can go there, you can start interact with this robot without any human interaction behind it.
You're talking about a bot?
A robot.
An actual robot?
Yes.
Yeah.
For us in our company, in the AI, usually there is two types of systems. The system that is working for you, and then the system that are thinking for you. So we have used the system that working for us, we implement that in our work. For example, in the toy logistic part, we automated a lot of the tasks that in one month, the computer did 19,000 tasks instead of the employees. So every task, the task that used to be done by 4 to 5 people, then
Nice.
1 people can do that.
Yeah.
Now the next level is...
Is there any expansion beyond the UAE for you guys?
Soon.
Where?
London.
Okay, that's the second person I'm hearing that they are...
Because actually we are looking for new talents, AI engineers, and here it's very difficult to find them. So we're trying to see what we can find there.
Nadine, you also, all of your tech is outside the UAE.
Yeah, all of it is outsourced outside of the UAE.
Do you think that the UAE needs more programmers than the coders and...
I think it'll definitely be easier if they were here.
Yeah.
Just from communication and, you know, at least for me, technology is almost like another language. But I'm blessed to have a team that works in technology that also is okay to work with people that live abroad. And I think that allows us to also look at different opportunities as well and give people different opportunities of work.
We tried to have our tech team outside the country. In fact, we had 3-4 offices, and the investors in Silicon Valley are completely against it. They believe that the best tech is everybody's in one room. So we winded up moving our entire tech team. I mean, we still have little branches here and there, but the majority of the tech, the heart and soul of the tech, is here in Dubai. And we've recruited a lot of the bright minds. And let me tell you, that costs big money.
Yeah,
because in the
You
United...
have 100 million. Don't
No,
complain
no.
about money, please.
Not yet.
Keep
not
complaining.
Yet. We're closing. 52. We have 52 in the bank. I only count what's in the bank.
Oh,
But,
52. That's not a
52.
small amount. $52 million in cash. That's not a small amount.
well,
That's a big money.
It is, but let me tell you something. Dubai and Abu Dhabi, it's not a cheap place. This is a very expensive place. It's not, you start a company in
Yeah,
Silicon
but,
Valley in your garage and you hook up to your mother's Wi-Fi. That's what WhatsApp did with 6 guys in a garage. You can't do that
But we
here.
had yesterday, to all women entrepreneurs in this room, we have seen one of the biggest exits in the region, which is the exit of the entertainer. Yes. She's a woman entrepreneur. She sold her stake for undisclosed amount, but from a closed. I had it has been disclosed to me by a close person to the matter. It reached to 300 million in cash, and she's based in Dubai.
It was not disclosed.
Yeah, but it's so how? Because you are the greatest audiences, you stayed up late. Do you have any questions before we wrap up? Any questions at all? Yeah, please. Thank you for raising your hand, because I will look so bad if no one asks. Please. No one, you can shout and I'll...
Hi, I'm currently a student here at NYU Abu Dhabi. I'm just curious how you guys are involving university students who are graduating from this university or universities here in the UAE in your companies.
Well, I'll give it to Joy.
I probably have the most employees, right? I think we're at 4,000 now. So I think you might want to ask me that question. We embrace young, bright minds. So we are hiring. If you're looking for a job, apply for Fetchr because we're hiring.
So you don't let her go before she hires you, because you seems to be a very bright student, that you are the only student, I think, or few students who choose to leave and join till the last. So don't let her go without hiring you. Yeah? Please.
Hi, this is Hatem Dif from Abu Dhabi University. I teach a lot of time, and I have a lot of ideas in my mind, actually have been for years. I don't know, I need your advice. How can I implement this idea? I'm a programmer, I have a little time. I start developing some of these prototypes, but I think it needs more than this. So where do I get the time, or whether I need to get some help from someone to help me implement these ideas?
Well, I have very good news for you. Shadi actually is working on a new project. I know he don't want to disclose it, but I forced him to disclose it, which is the Smart Start.
Go Smart.
Go Smart.
Go
it's
Smart.
A portal, a website in which it gives you free membership that help you. Well, actually, I don't think I should talk. I mean, he's the idea's owner, so why don't you brief everyone about it?
It's no secret, actually, anymore.
Go Smart.
After what you just said. It's going to be launched by the end of this month, and it's going to be, as he said, for free. Now, the idea of taking your project or your dream project from the ideation stage to a real thing is in the validation and creating what's so-called the business model. Now, without doing that, you will have a hard time building something that you love but might not necessarily be able to sell. So you need first to form it in a shape that is called minimum viable product, where people can see it, touch it, and use it, and give you the feedback. Of course, not the feedback that you direct them to give, but the one that you pull from their brain to reveal the actual pain. Because if you don't solve a problem at the user side, your product or idea won't be valid. So it's kind of, I don't want to say a complex process, but it is to a certain level. With Go Smart, it's much simpler, and with our solution, we're making it simpler. That's our business model. So probably the first thing you need to do before you pouring in money or maybe investing your time and hard work is to validate your idea and have probably a co-founder or someone who helps you at the business side.
And don't start, always start where others finished. Take that rule. It's a golden rule. Start where others finished. Don't reinvent the wheel. And don't start by your own. Get someone else. That will, and I think Joy would agree, and everyone, because all of you has a co-founder, except Shadi and Jane, I think.
No, I have co-founders.
Yeah, investors in Silicon Valley don't like single founders. If you want to raise money, they like to see a team, because 9 times out of 10, they invest in the team.
But also, I have an advice. If you have a good idea, but you don't believe that it's good enough to dedicate more time for that, you should not start. Because 90% of the startups are fail.
Or you will be like the daughter of Dr. Asma. She was dreaming about that flight, and she saw it in Germany. I think Dr. Asma did a big mistake not investing in her daughter and make that come to reality, right? Go to her and tell her, stop dreaming, start achieving, and become an achiever. Dreamers are a lot. The whole world is full of dreamers, but lack achievers. Last question before I let go of you to home. I know it's...
Actually, I have a question as a millennial, right? we always talk and hear people talking about AI, technologies, and all of that. Should I be scared?
Nadine or Joy, please.
Scared of what?
Yeah.
Fear.
Losing my job, not finding a job because.
Well, I know your boss. I'll talk to him.
I'll answer this in a short sentence. When we were working with the teachers at schools, and they were threatened, or they used to fear technology because they used to think that technology will replace teachers, I used to repeat a quote that I read once from the internet that says, teachers with technology education are going to replace teachers that are not tech savvy, or maybe they're not learning or educated with technology, but not technology is replacing human beings.
Well, I gave that example in the morning. In the 70s or the 60s, when they invented the calculator, and then they invented the Excel, Microsoft and Bill Gates, everyone thought that the need of accountants will be reduced. In fact, the need for more accountants increased by 3 times. It is just an accountant with a different skill set.
Enablement, yeah.
Enabled by an Excel. And I always say it, let's invent AI, okay? But let us give them the donkey work. Let them do things that we don't like to do, and we as a human become with more free time to invent the next thing and to do with what we love to do most. So if you have someone in your team who hates his job, get an AI to do his job, but give him something else that he loves. Thank you very much, everyone. Any more questions so we can be fair? No, you were just, okay, no? All right, so thank you so much. I know I have to thank you again and again for staying till the last session. And if you have any personal questions,